Hi, everyone. How are you? Well, you can't hear me, but okay. Well, so these weeks are called Shovavim. What does Shovavim stand for? Shovavim stands for the first letter of the first 6 parshas of the next 6 weeks. So Shovavim, and right now we're in Parshat Shmot. So in this coming Shabbat, we're going to read Parshat Shmot in Shul. So Shovavim stands for Shmot Va'era Bo Bishal Yitro Mishpatim. So those are the parshiot of the next 6 weeks. So Shovavim is a special time where the Jewish people in those parshiot got out of Egypt. So Hashem took the Jewish people out of Egypt, and then they went into the desert and they got the Torah. So it's like a special time where each individual person can quote unquote get out of their own personal Egypt. So the Jews were slaves in Egypt. So too, we during this time can come out of our own personal Egypt or enslavement or challenges. So the idea is that the same Hashem who put us in Egypt took us out of Egypt, and that's what I'm going to focus on tonight. So in this book, Likutei Moharan, which is the main book of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, he writes in the lesson, which is the number Kuf. So he actually takes a pasuk from a verse from one of the parshiot that's part of Shovavim. So one of the parshiot in which describes the Jewish people getting the Torah, and that would be in Parshat Yitro. In Parshat Yitro, there's a pasuk which says, "Vaya'amod ha'am mirachok yesh el ha'arafel asher sham ha'elokim." So this pasuk means that the nation was meaning the Jewish people, were standing from afar, from a distance, and Moshe went up to the darkness, and there was God. And Rabbi Nachman explains in his book Likutei Moharan that the darkness, that the Arafel, which means like the clouds, because when the Jewish people stood at the mountain to get the Torah, there were clouds and all this crazy stuff. And so the nation was standing standing far away because they were scared. Because when you come up to a dark place or a scary place, then right, because it's scary. But Moshe Rabbeinu, he actually went up to the darkness, and that's where he found God. And Rabbi Nachman explains that when we have challenges in our lives and struggles, then know that if we go over to the struggle, that's where God can be found. And that's what we learn from this pasuk, this verse in the Torah, which is part of Shovavim, these special weeks where the Jews are coming out of Egypt and getting the Torah. So I found a couple examples actually in the Siddur of prayers that we say every single day during Shacharit, the morning prayer service, where we see that Hashem is with us through every single obstacle and challenge and struggle that we face in our lives, that Hashem is always there with us. And this message that Hashem is always there with us and that Hashem took us out of Egypt, this is a message that we should focus on during these weeks of Shovavim. So in the Siddur, which I got right here, okay, so the first example, so these examples are just scattered throughout the whole entire Siddur, and all we have to do is be mindful and pay attention to them, and you'll see that everywhere we're constantly being reminded that Hashem is always with us, and Hashem is here to help us through every single struggle. Okay, so in Baruch She'amar, if you guys are familiar, there's like a bunch of different lines, and they're saying like, blessed is God who did this, and blessed is God who does this, and in one of the lines it says, Baruch Gozer Umekayem, and that says, blessed is he who decrees and fulfills. So what does this mean? Like, that's kind of confusing. Why are we like thanking God for creating these harsh decrees and fulfilling them? So Rabbi, he says that Hashem, he explains these words. Hashem decrees hard tests and gives us the power to overcome it. Gozer meaning decree, and mekayem meaning fulfill, meaning that we are able to overcome and fulfill and exceed and overcome the challenge. So Hashem decrees like a harsh decree, like gives us a challenge in our lives, but he also at the same time, he gives us the power to overcome the challenge, the struggle. So that's kind of like very encouraging because we know that Hashem's always with us. And again, we say these words every day. Another example, later on in where it's Birchot Kriyat Shema, the first bracha that we say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Yotzer Or Uborei Choshech. So what does that mean? So it's blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe. And actually, small little hint, instead of blessed are you, it's kind of a better way to think about it is that God, you are the source of all blessing. And that's how we're approaching God as in our prayers. So this blessing says, Yotzer Or Uborei Choshech, like God who forms light and creates darkness. In the same exact line, we have those two completely opposite phrases. So Rav Judah Michel, he explains these words the same way that God creates good, light, Yotzer Or, the creator of light. So too, the same God is Borei Choshech, Yotzer Or Uborei Choshech, creates light and creates darkness. So it's the same God, and we have to realize this. And as we see all over the Siddur and all over these weeks of Shovavim in the Torah, there's so many hints that are telling us that it's the same God. The same God who took us into Egypt is the same God who took us out. The same God who gives us challenges is the same God who helps us overcome these challenges. And here we have the same God who creates light is the same God who creates darkness. Okay, quickly the last example, I'm sure there's so many more, just the last one I'm going to give for today. In Shema, every day we say Shema 3 times a day, or maybe even more. On the third paragraph of Shema, which it comes from Bamidbar, which is a different book of the Torah. In the Shema, which is the ultimate declaration of faith, we say, Ani Hashem Elokeichem Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim. This is a constant reminder that it means that Hashem, that means it says here, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. This is Hashem, a constant reminder that Hashem took us out of Egypt. And Hashem takes us out of Egypt all the time. Hashem gives us challenges, but he also takes us out from these challenges and helps us overcome them. So one of the things that we should do during these weeks, one thing that we can take upon ourselves to do, because these weeks have a very special power, because the Torah, everything that's happening in the Torah is also very applicable to our lives. So during these weeks of Shovavim, again, which is Shmot, Vayera, Bo, Beshalach, Yitro, Mishpatim, and this week, on Shabbat, we're going to read the Parsha of Shmot, which is the first week of Shovavim. So during these next 6 weeks, it's a very special time to be mindful that Hashem took us out of Egypt. And so too, not just out of Egypt, but out of every single struggle and challenge that we're given in our lives. So I just want to read this story, which is also in the back of my Siddur. Okay. Letter, and I'll give you a hint, a little clue. It's from, okay, this is what the letter says. Morning, I watched you and hoped that you would talk to me, even if it was just a few words, asking my opinion or thanking me for something good that happened in your life yesterday. But I noticed you were too busy to find the right outfit to wear to work. I waited again. When you ran around the house getting ready, I knew there would be a few minutes for you to stop and say hello. But you were too busy. I watched as you went to work, and I waited patiently all day long. At one point, you had to wait 15 minutes with nothing to do except sit in your chair. Then I saw you spring to your feet. I thought you wanted to talk to me, but you ran to the phone and called a friend to get the latest gossip. With all your activities, I guess you were just too busy to say anything to me. I noticed that before lunch, you looked around. Maybe you felt embarrassed to talk to me. This is why you didn't bow your head. You glanced 3 or 4 tables over and noticed some of your friends talking to me briefly before they ate, but you didn't. That's okay. There's still more time left, and I'm still hoping you will find time to talk to me. Yet, you went home, and it seemed as if you had lots of other things to do. After a few of them were done, you turned on the TV. Actually, you spent quite a lot of time each day in front of it, not thinking about anything, just enjoying the show. or the game. I waited patiently as you ate your dinner, but again, you didn't talk to me. Bedtime, I guess you felt too tired. After you said good night to your family, you plopped into bed and fell asleep in no time. Even though I'm pained by the way you ignored me today, I've got patience, more than you will ever know. I love you so much, and I wait every day for a nod, prayer, or thought, or thankful part of your heart. It is hard to have a one-sided conversation. Well, you are getting up once again. I will wait with nothing but love for you, hoping that today you will give me some time. Love, God. So this is a story which kind of just shows that God is just waiting for us during every single moment of our lives, when we're watching TV, when we're eating dinner, before we're going to sleep, when we get up in the morning, when we're sitting in a chair, whatever it is, whether you're in the car, Hashem's there moment, whether it's when you're just sitting around or whether you're having a challenge or a struggle or something's hard in your life. Hashem's there every time. And Hashem's just waiting for us to turn to him and to talk to him, to ask him for help. And Hashem just wants us to turn to him and for things, because he's here for us. Hashem gives us struggles in our lives, for sure. And it's really hard. Like when you have hard things in your life, it's a challenge, but it's a challenge for a reason, because Hashem gives us challenges and we are meant to overcome them. Hashem does not give us challenges that we cannot overcome. Hashem only gives us challenges that we can overcome. And during these weeks of Shovavim, the Jewish people, our own people, the Jewish people, they got out of Egypt. They were enslaved in Egypt, and Hashem took them out with his hand, like Hashem himself took Jews out of Egypt. And during these weeks of Shovavim, it's a special time for us to come out of our own challenges, to own personal Yetziat Mitzrayim, which means like the way that the Jewish people got out of Egypt. So too, it's a time for us to come out of our own Yetziat Mitzrayim. And Hashem's always here, and I hope that this little lesson was able to show you some constant reminders in our lives where Hashem is, that he's always with us through every single challenge. And yeah, so I hope you have great weeks of Shovavim, full of mindfulness and reminders that Hashem's always with us through everything. That's it.